The becoming of queens and goddesses. Since the beginning of the chronicles of time, there have been goddesses who were responsible for creating and expanding the infinite currents of time and space, manifesting and evolving based on the need for creation and responding accordingly, maintaining and balancing the spiritual realms and spiritual evolution of the universe. As Earth began to form and the firmament descended, some of the goddesses seeking new ways to love descended to Earth to continue in this intimate creation. The intimate creation evolved over time to procreation, the cultivation of life, inclusive of mankind. The goddess shared her love physically, mentally, and spiritually with mankind, and nature awakened. Man, grateful and reverent of the goddess, began to closely observe nature as an extension of her. Nature continued to flourish and advance. Man began to see the patterns of behavior in the rise and fall of the seasons and the curious division of labor among the things of nature. Over time, man developed ego in response to his observations. Ego began to replace the reverence of the goddess with pride. Pride then replaced gratitude with possession. In time, man now wanted to prove his worth and value to the goddess in spite of her pleas for love and security. He began to compete for her attention. She, in support of him, received his gifts and sacrifices, which diminished her connection to the spiritual realms, turning her attention to the physical and material realms. He began to covet her love, skill, and creativity for himself alone. He realized that each time she gave birth to new ideas or life, she shared her gifts of love, skill, and creativity with her children, and he was also empowered. She recognized that her old ways of giving were fading, and the new form of giving had changed the vibration of the world. Her love, gifts, and creativity were replaced by material and physical gifts, mortally decreasing her power. She developed a great need for love and security that she comprehended through lovemaking to man. She gave fully of herself to empower him, setting him beside her as king. He gladly received her gift of love, power, and authority. He also knew to stay beside her as king, he had to satisfy her and demonstrate his value. He studied her like he studied nature through the eyes of ego. He began to seek contingencies to maintain his position. One of his contingencies became seduction. He saw her vulnerability and her need for love and security, and he began to ration it to her in exchange for more gifts of power and authority. As man continued to seduce the goddess and produce children with her, she became earthbound, with limited access to replenish herself. Her solace, through tapping into the infinite realms of possibilities she reached when they climaxed as one, were few and far between. Her only means of restoration was to tap into the creative potential of the spirit realm through the heights of ecstasy and lovemaking with her king. Fearful of losing his power and authority, he became captivated with his sexual performance and his possession of her. Finally, his pride and greed bonded the goddess to earth by denying her restoration, denying her real pleasure that sharing man to goddess created. As the cycle of life became an obsession for him, he developed other contingencies. He sought the affections of more than one goddess, lavishing her with more attention, more gifts, and more passion than she was accustomed to by her own king. she received his advances. As the seasons passed, the love-making that connected her spirit waned and soon was lost to memory. Without the spiritual connectedness, the goddess and her creativity created the art of war as a last act of her waning divinity. She allowed jealousy and envy to enter her heart and waged war against her sisters, then her sisters' children. She had fallen, and mankind and all the earth would suffer for generations. The goddess became woman. The memory of the goddess became an echo, resounding only in the hearts and minds of a few faithful of her children. These children captured the goddess in the images of art etched in stone, bronze, and other precious substances. They became the priests and priestesses of her gifts of love, preserving the evidence of her power and authority through their sacred words, initiations, and celebrations. Her flames, scattered like wicks of candles, illuminated throughout the various cultures of the world. After the fall of the goddess, man, maintaining the power and authority as king, chose a queen as a faint memory of the role and value of the goddess. He knew that he was unable to rule without the power and authority that the woman symbolically bestowed upon him. Therefore, he was always advised to choose a woman to whom he would make his queen. The queen, resonating at a lower earthly vibration, still sought self-pleasure. Yearning for her spiritual connection, she often engaged in polyandry, rituals, and secret teachings to reach the levels of ecstasy needed to be fulfilled. She became a master of the art of war, using seduction as her greatest weapon. Love and security once required from a man, she now used against him. She caused him great insecurity in his lovemaking, as he no longer could meet her unquenched desires. In spite of his great effort, he could not compete with her prowess. She was insatiable. The queen, no longer balanced by the concerns of heaven and earth, became consumed by earthly matters beyond the bedchamber. She grew more aggressive in the demands of life of her people. She saw the common man and woman as her children, who she would nurture and protect by any means necessary. The queen, honored by her people, knew she had to offer them hope. She established churches, synagogues, and sanctuaries for the people to gather and learn of hope. Jealous by her growing power, the king ordered that all who taught in those churches, synagogues, and sanctuaries undergo a religious training. The training would elevate man to positions of authority and reduce women's roles to that of submissiveness. It would promote servants of all levels and enemies of all kinds. It would acknowledge consequences that would include eternity. Your immortality could either be everlasting royalty or everlasting suffering, based on how you lived and honored authority, the king and his appointees today. The hope the queen desired for her people was contrived in rigorous hypocrisy and unfair practices. The queen, removing herself from royal title and submitting herself as a child of nature, accepted herself as woman. She clothed herself in the dress and adornments of the time. She gave birth to children of many colors, cultures, and beliefs. She was abused. She neglected. She was lost. She grew old and weary. She suffered greatly at the hands of those she loved. She merely existed until present time. In truth, she never lost the yearning for the giving and receiving of love that surpassed whatever she or the world might endure. She never lost the hope that was embedded in her DNA. She had given up everything, but never the hope that clung to her heart like time to a day. While waking this morning, the sun was especially kind. It offered her a glimpse of a memory shared with the goddesses who knew of no time and space in their spirit realm. They honored her. They loved her. They reminded her of what she had lost to ancient memory. She listened and laughed. She listened and cried. She ran outside, out into the arms of nature. She removed her clothes and binding. She removed all adornments. She turned in quiet humility and in all of her nakedness towards the heavens. She cried out for forgiveness, for herself, for her children, for her men, for her fall. Her sisters, the goddesses that remained in the spirit realm, embraced her through the warmth of the song, caressing her naked vulnerability. They wept with joy as she cried out for the peace and love that she once knew abounded in her. They honored her and filled her with the invigorating joy that only true love, true self-love can emit. Her heart, her hope, her path is being restored with every awakening thought and every act of self-love.